Jean-Paul, welcome back to the podcast, man. How you doing today?
I'm good, George. Man, I appreciate you having me on. It's been good to see your growth on this podcast as we've now this, I believe, our third time talking. I just got back from traveling. I was looking forward to this call because I was like, man, I've been beating me under the road here the last few days, and I was like, now I'll get a little time at home, my family, get to talk to a familiar face today. So it's all good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Man, it's always an honor. Seriously, I love having you on. It's always fun catching up with you and, hearing about duck camp dinners and all the things you got kicking. And, yes, welcome back. You're a third time guest. You and Jesse Griffiths are now the three Peters. So, like I said, there's a jacket or a shirt or a hat in there somewhere. I got to get something custom. But no, for real,
That's good company to be in, right
it
there.
is, man. Good dudes, good dudes. Well, I want to talk all about this season 4 of Duck Camp Dinners. You got 8 episodes, start in Louisiana, roll through Texas, and in Louisiana, and I just want to kind of give people a little bit of a background, man. I mean, you've obviously been in and around Texas before, but this is a really good example of a lot of different areas throughout
Mhm.
this great state of hunting and fishing and everything that's flying and running around. I mean, you guys hunt almost everything there, and it's been fun to watch that throughout the season and kind of see the plethora of game out there. But I was kind of curious as far as like when you guys decided to, map out season 4 and having a strong Texas tie to that. What was it that you were hoping to accomplish and thinking about? I mean, I know Texas is near and dear to your heart. So, yeah, maybe if you can just kind of lay that out for the listeners and kind of we'll dive into the episodes from there.
Sure, yeah. For those listeners who might be new to Duck Camp Dinners and myself, I'm from Louisiana, born and raised. I don't currently live in Louisiana, but still a lot of the my work comes out of that state. But the second state that is so close to me is Texas. And that's because my wife's from Texas. I have some family, a lot of friends in Texas. I used to live in Texas for a little bit before moving here in Florida, and likely we'll probably move back to Texas in the near future too. We love this state for so many reasons, and I felt like if I was going to take Duck Camp Dinners out of Louisiana, which it has its first 3 seasons in, Texas seemed just a natural evolution for the show, considering my network and my people and what I've grown to really love about the state. And so, as you mentioned, we start in Louisiana. We take 6 episodes. After that, it's almost like a very much like a road trip. We film it all continuing throughout this whole time, and then we end in Louisiana. And so that's Galveston Bay area, Rockport, Refugio, then Lubbock for 2 days, then East Texas to Woodcock Hunt, which is episode 7, and then we finished out in Louisiana. And so, it was part of the reason why we made Duck Camp Dinners in the first place in the first 3 seasons in Louisiana, is just to really feel like we wanted to tell an authentic, really an authentic story about Louisiana. We know that it couldn't be done in just 1 or 2 episodes. It needed seasons, or at least one season. And Texas is the same. I just didn't want to dedicate 1 or 2 episodes to it. You can make 5, 6 seasons that stay so big, and the number of like different things you can do in the outdoors is just the spectrum is so large and wide. We just scratched the surface with 5, 6 episodes here. So it was just one of those things where I felt like Duck Camp Dinners, I wanted to tinker with the idea of leaving Louisiana for just an episode, for just one season. And because I do believe that, Louisiana is very unique, Texas is very unique. But I just feel like folks, no matter where you're at, we have more in common with each other than we don't. And part of going place to place is, the accents may change, the food may change that's on the table, even sometimes the species change, but we all just seem to love being in the outdoors and love being with other people that are in the outdoors, and all the small all the small businesses and foodways that like thrive, like, really lift up our communities within it. Because in the end of the day, like I've always felt duck camp dinners, some people, depending on how you watch it, may look at it as a food show. Maybe they say it's an outdoor hunting show or something like that. I've always seen about a show about community. And that could be the local Rockport community, the flounder gigging and hunting community that we do there, or the Vietnamese community that's in there. And it's just no matter which way I look at it, I just see these little communities that kind of blend in and out of each other in this area. And that's kind of how we look at every episode and how we take every episode, especially in Texas, where now we're also learning for ourselves. Because in Louisiana, we know it so well. We're kind of in it. We're in between all that stuff. We know all these people, and we're kind of just bring them into the light. Where in Texas, we're also learning with you as a viewer, and we're depending on those people that are local to Texas, like Brian Little from Sabine Skiffs in Galveston Bay, like for him to show us his world, right? So what we're learning because of him, it's not because of me or other people anymore who have in Louisiana. Now we're learning from real, generational Texans that have small businesses there, hunt there, fish there, like lives is there, and they're just sharing their community with us. So.
No, that's well said, man. I mean, there's so much culture that comes together through travel, through food, through music, which is a big part of your show as well. And I think that brings community because it's interesting, like you mentioned, like, yeah, there are a lot of different lenses you can go ahead and view it for. I mean, I know that I'm salivating 24/7 when I'm seeing all the amazing dishes you guys are cooking. As an outdoorsman, I love seeing you guys go out and checking out new places. But I think the people that you meet along the way and the cultural and the connection and being able to kind of share this way of life and the conservational aspects of things too, it's so rich in, multiple bountiful ways. And so that's something that I think there is something for everyone, no matter what it is too. And I love that, you guys gave a great representation throughout the state of Texas. So tip of the hat on that as well.
Yeah, thank you. And you mentioned something that was very important to me through all 4 seasons. That's the music, and we have to use some royalty free music, like for the transitional moments, or some of the stuff where we have big libraries. We have to use some of that, but every episode we fold in 2 or 3 different Texas musicians. In this case, in the past, it'd be Louisiana musicians. Because just like Louisiana has a very unique sound to it. Texas has a very unique sound to it, and we wanted to make sure it was represented even through the music and the artists and the way things feel and sound. And so, we could have saved a lot of money and a lot of headaches from licensing music if we didn't. But it's one of those things that I never felt like we could engineer out for the sake of a budget. It's so important to really set that vibe and that tone within every episode, that it looks like it, feels like it, sounds like it, tastes like it, right? It needs to be really, really kind of dig into that place as an entire culture, a holistic culture, if you will.
Yeah, no. Well, speaking of digging in, I'd love to dig into each one of these episodes to kind of give people an idea of, if they haven't already tuned in, one, where they should go and tune in on your YouTube page. We'll kind of mention that too. And, let's just kind of walk it throughout this tour, if you don't mind. Season 1, episode 1, new season, new camp. You start off in Louisiana, tried and true, and then you're kind of making your way across the bridge, man. Why don't you walk us off and tell us a little bit about, where you went, what your experience was, and what's the highlight of episode 1?
Sure. So yeah, the whole season, typically we would spend like an episode or 2 episodes in each camp. And we did that in the first episode, and we did that on the last episode, which is the last episode, which is the camp, the floating camp that we've gone on other seasons. Mm-hmm. That's the only camp we've ever been to before. All the rest are new. And so the first one in the Chaffalaya Basin, Chaffalaya Delta, excuse me, which is the Chaffalaya River, where it starts meeting that salt marsh on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America, whatever you're calling it these days. That was my friend Hunter. I've known him I've known him for a long time, but we haven't been really close except for the last couple years. He invited us down to his camp. One of the awesome things about that camp is that it doesn't stay there year round. For the duck season, it's there for 4-5 months, and then they take boats and tow it back upriver and dock it over the winter for different repairs and so on. But just a killer, and it was a really fun hunt, kind of really old school, dragging pirogues into the pond, really working to get out there. And for a 300-pound man, gravity isn't on my side, but we made it happen. And then shooting like just really good ducks and having a fun hunt and sharing that camp with those folks and getting to know them a little bit. That was essentially, without giving it all away. One of the things about Louisiana is you can do these cast and blast like you can in coastal Texas, fairly easily as well. And so we got to do a little bit of that with ducks and speckled trout and some setting crab traps and jug lines, all that fun stuff we do in Louisiana almost every episode. So from there, we travel west and we cross Sabine River and we get into West Galveston Bay at Hall's Bayou and hunt with Brian Little. This is like episode 2. I think the story of mostly Louisiana and Texas as a whole in duck season was that it was rough. The weather didn't really get ducky north enough for some stuff to push down. They had good early seasons, but as we got into the meat of big duck season and towards the end, we just never could get that second and third wave migration to really hold ducks. And that goes from everywhere from Louisiana to Texas. Now they had some outliers, right? Of course, they had some
True.
people who did really well, but Hall's Bayou is one of those ones where I was like, man, thank goodness there was good people at the camp, and we ate good. But that's the story of hunting. That's the real story of hunting, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think we've all been in that place where like, oh, I've seen that way many more times than I've seen these, drag out, bang up hunts. That's just the story of it. So, but Brian Little, Marco, all that crew, over there, incredible hosts, gracious, kind, and just willing to really like let us in their part of the world. And so, from there, that's episode 1. And within episode 1, we go to, El Campo, Providence City area, do a sandhill crane hunt, stay at camp one time, and so already, for those who've seen Duck Game Dinners 1 through 3, you'll know that again we spend like one or two episodes. Already in episode 2, we're at 2 different camps, and so we looked at this season as kind of like a run and gun. And if it was good, it was good. We're not going to get too many shots at like hunt after hunt in one place. If we hit it on the right time, then we hit it on the right time. So we kept cruising into Rockport, which was one of my favorite episodes because love Vietnamese food. Spent time in Vietnam. So we really got to dig in a little bit there with Brandon Nguyen and his family from Flowers Shrimp Market there in Rockport. Flounder gigged with him. Stabbed a couple flounder, but not as, the weather started. They had a big front that came through or was coming through, and it was starting to play that effect on the coastal part of Texas at that time. But got on a good redhead and pintail hunt with Mason Matichik and Brandon Nguyen flounder gigging. And I'm trying not to give everything away when it comes to the episodes, but that's basically Rockport. And again, we start to see this because even from Hall's Bayou to El Campo, we stop at a little place called Jay's Cafe, and I forget what town it's in. But a lovely little like small town Texas like diner cafe that the whole town was at when we were there. And then Flowers Shrimp Market in Rockport. And that's one of the things that I really love is finding little small businesses within the community that may or may not have anything to do with why we're there. Again, the show's so much about community that it just makes a lot of sense for me to, when we're on that road trip, if we're naturally going to stop somewhere, let's film it because that's part of the trip. Whether that could be a meat market, again, a shrimp market or whatever. And so I just love that. And I'm a small town boy by birth, and I typically live in a lot of small town, aside from New York City. And it's always been really important. So Refugio was next, which I had never heard about Refugio. I didn't know anything about Refugio, and of course I'm saying it like a white boy. But Refugio, maybe. How would you really say it?
What I've heard Refugio, and then some people say Refugio, as in like the
Refugio.
refugee, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. And there was like, really fun. Hogs, whitetail, ducks, rabbits. Now, one of the things you can't do in Louisiana is spotlight rabbits at night. And so when they were like, yeah, let's go spotlight rabbits at night. And I was like, you sure that's legal? I don't know if that's legal. And they were like, I hope it's legal. We've been doing it since we were 9 years old. So, yeah. And so to come to find out, it is very much legal in Texas to spotlight rabbits at night. So that was fun to be able to do. It was fun. I love rabbits. We cleaned them. We cook them in the later episodes. And, it was one of those things that also I love about the show is that we go, our goal is to have meat hauls. Like
Right.
we're meat hunters. We hunt for meat. We put them in coolers. We're going, put them up in our freezers, whether that be at a butcher shop or ourselves. And so, we end up a lot of times taking whatever things that we hunt, catch, kill during episodes of Duck Game Dinners and bringing them throughout the season into later seasons to share with the rest of our friends or with people that weren't even on those hunts. And I also think like that's kind of like a little, untold story of sportsmen, right? They're kind of sharing their game with other people, whether community, friends, or family, other camps,
Yeah.
throughout the year. So, from there, Refugio was fun. Then we in Lubbock for two hunts, and that's a great cackling geese episode. A hunt, a great, a slow but snowy sandhill crane hunt, which is completely new to us, hunting in the snow. And gosh, dog, it was cold. And then we go to East Texas to woodcock hunt with Brian Little again, and then we get into Louisiana. Bow fishing, and then finish out on episode 8 at the camp that we all come to love and know from all the seasons. So, and if I haven't bored y'all from listening so far, if I haven't bored y'all by now, you can catch all these seasons. So my YouTube page, Stir the Pot, you can just type in Stir the Pot on YouTube, is the only place you can find all 4 seasons of Duck Camp Dinners. So seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all now on the YouTube channel, Stir the Pot. There are other places where you can watch season 1 and 2. If you want to go there, go watch them. All good with me. But and then the YouTube channel obviously has all the Duck Camp Dinners episodes, but all kind of other, I think, kind of fun food, culture, travel kind of stuff that I'm deeply into. So I think it's funny is like a lot of people knew me for being, a professional chef or a barbecue guy or Roman or Italian guy or whatever and throughout my career. Now so many people see me as this duck hunter, which I am, but I'm always like food first.
Yeah.
So everything I do is throughout the lens of food, whether I travel, I'm traveling for it, or whether I'm hunting or fishing for it, whether I'm just trying to learn from other people that I know nothing about for it. It's like it's all, and so that YouTube page, Stir the Pot, you can find Duck Camp Dinners, all kind of other stuff you might be interested in.
I think it's true to point, man. There's a lot of really cool things that you can see there where it's not, you hear duck camp, and I think that is, while it is the basis of everything that, this show is about, it's so much more. You're hunting so many different other species. You're giving a insight into different, like talking about the Refugio episode, you got, I can't even count how many turkeys came through in that time, and you got hogs and you got deer, and then you guys are utilizing those. And I mean, the bounty is very diverse of all these amazing species. And really, I think you're honoring the wildlife in such a great way. The dishes are incredible. So there is so much to it, but I love that you have all these other things that, you've done over the years, and that you've had these trips where people can join you and different special dinners, and there's so much to it. So I feel like Stir the Pot really encapsulates a lot more than just this show. And I think that's a very important thing that you noted, and that I kind of want to echo, because there is so much rich content and delicious content. I just warn people, if you haven't had lunch and you're watching this, you're just doing yourself damage, man, because it's like all I wanted to do was like drive home and hit the freezer and, start pulling out my wild game, man. It's very inspirational and mouth-watering.
Well, thank you. And look, that's 100% intentional. But, in the end of the day, like, people ask me for recipes and a lot. And I have no problem giving out recipes. I just don't. Here's my problem is like, even my own recipes, I break and I change and I evolve throughout time. So, I feel like if I ever give somebody a recipe, next time I make it, it'll be a different recipe. And so I try to encourage people to just take that pure inspiration, use what I've given you throughout the show or throughout other pieces of content that I've made, and just have fun with it and make it for yourself. Like, people were like, like I get the sandhill crane thing all the time. Like, can I get some more sandhill crane recipes? And I was like, what do you like to do with steak? They're like, well, I like to make kebabs with it. And I was like, how about you make kebabs with it? You know,
Yep.
how about you just treat it like beef? If you want to call it the ribeye of the sky, treat it like beef. And if you want to make meatloaf with it and grind it, make meatloaf with it. Like, you don't need me to tell you that. Just say, okay, if it tastes like beef, maybe there's some recipes that I can make it like something else and make it your favorite thing with that it is. So, because if I give you a recipe, I'll just make it up anyway. And the next time I do make it, I'm going to put something different in it. I might add some Dijon mustard to it, which is going to change it completely, or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're inspired, because that's the end goal. Is just inspire people to go out. I'll go outdoors. Consider, if you're not somebody who hunts and fish, you like going to the grocery, that's fine. Like, but maybe go outside and consider what it means, even if it starts with just foraging for mushrooms or wild plants or or planting a garden in your yard. Start with that. You know, you don't need to go out and wing shoot or hunt alligators or fish for redfish or shoot whitetails. But start with something that comes from your hands, where you know where it's at, where you can take full accountability for it. I think it's at the very least, just go outside and try to find you some food,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it out there that just grows in the wild, probably in your neighborhood park, or in some, federal land or federal trails, and wherever you're at in the country, there's something there outdoors for you.
I think that's a very important thing, man. I mean, just I encourage people to get foraging books for their area, right? Like I know in like Central Texas where we have a ranch, I'm always looking for different things, man. We got wild persimmons, we've got, dewberries, we got Mustang grapes and all these things. And I'm always trying to, the thing I find fun about that is also if I'm hunting something there, like if it's a wild turkey, then I'm trying to incorporate some of those things that maybe that turkey ate too, and kind of bring it into a meal, and things with the garden. And like you said too, it kind of starts there too. I see a lot of folks who, maybe you don't have the space for a garden, or you don't have that time, but you can certainly walk around a park near you and you will find some things that are very edible and kind of have that, locavore movement of sorts. It's like
Yeah.
find it in your backyard or somewhere around you. And, then you can kind of build upon that if you aren't. But if nothing else, I think one of the things too that you talk about, and when you're bringing in the wild game aspect, whether it's in the water or above, the ground or flying, you do teach, and kind of highlight this aspect, and you've done this for many years, something I've admired, of just the conservational aspect of things and that approach of how we need to take as best care we can of these resources and the areas around that and the habitat. And that's something that I feel like you've always driven home, and it's such an important piece of that. Some people are, oh, hunters, maybe they're just knocking down anything they can. Oh, man, we're trying to keep this for future generations and build this way of life that can sustain itself for hundreds of years beyond ours, and I think that's something that you've done a great job of, kind of leaving a great foundation of knowledge and leaving it better than you found it as well. So I've always appreciated that. I just wanted to kind of mention that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's kind of like a use it or lose it approach, right? Like, you got to teach people how to use it and where to use it, and whether that's generational or that's a new hunter or so on, because there's certainly people that and you're seeing this a lot unfold in politics as of recently in public lands and so on. There's going to be people that are always try to get more dirt, right? There's the only thing they're not making more of, right? And so whether it's your own private stuff that you have, maybe that's your ranch, George, or it's public lands that the American people own. There's always going to be someone out there likely trying to pay for what you got, because again. So I mean, from that aspect, I think it's kind of really interesting. From the hunting aspect, it's like, I don't know, maybe like, okay, like let's take whitetail for example, right? We all know that you need to get a population of does off of your off, and most of the time, right? You need to get a population of does off your ranch. So,
Hmm.
I mean, breeding, you're going to know more about that than I. The only thing I know is when people have those problems, I'm like, call me. I will go shoot 2 or 3 does because
Yes.
I am 100% there. Like, all right, I know those 1 or 2 does, even 3 does can feed my family for 18 months, right?
Yeah.
Especially shoot them the right way, harvest them the right way, butcher them the right way, put it up the right way, and and whitetail meat may be the most like you can do more with whitetail meat than maybe as far as North America goes. It's plentiful. It's there, whether it's grinds or roast or sausages, you name it, stew meat, so on. There's just so many meals that can come from that. The bones, making bone broth. There's so many things that can come from that one animal. And so, like, I just firmly believe that in my bones that we should be feeding people with what we kill, ourselves, our family, yes, but sharing that with others, trading. I
Yeah.
love this thing of like, hey man, I got a bunch of whitetail sausage I made, deer sausage. You got like maybe you go rabbit hunting or whatever and trading that, for things that I might not do. That's how I grew up. Yeah, like we were duck hunters. We fished for redfish, but we always had rabbit, hog, whitetail, squirrels in our freezer because we had so many ducks. We would trade with other hunters who did other things, who didn't maybe duck hunt. And so, which kind of gave me at an early on, even though I didn't like always hunt those things. We didn't have a lot of wild hog in the 80s and early 90s
Yeah.
in Louisiana, right? I mean, but they had people in different, in my dad's circles that did. And so that's how I even became familiar with that, right? And at a young age, even without being a hunter, because I hunted other things that we were able to trade for. So anyways, there's a lot of good things that can come out if you just open to it, open your eyes and heart to those type of conservation efforts.
No, I think that's huge, man. I mean, even last week, my new next door neighbor brought over a bunch of shrimp from Louisiana that his dad works with the guy who runs that boat there, and I'm like, here's some venison tamales. You know what I mean? It's like it's a
Yeah.
trade off, and then we get together, and I get to hear his stories about how he grew up and his love for Louisiana, and like it was a great medium. It's like, hi, I'm your new neighbor. Here's some wild game meat, and then hey, next thing you know, you're getting invited over to the barbecue. It works out, and I'll bring some to that. But it's that connectivity, right? And that's food has always been that. It's like sitting around the campfire, right? That's our original social networking is kind of this food and family and friendship, and so it's such a great thing to see. And like again, I love how you've highlighted all sorts of different things in different places and people. Who knows, man? In my mind, you mentioned like stopping at diners. I was like, is there a duck camp diners as well? There may be. There, I could see a little spin-off, right? All the cool places you go. One
Yeah.
thing I did want to talk about too is the different sponsorships and partnerships you have, because you've really teamed up with some incredible people throughout the seasons. Who are some of the folks that you teamed up with through season 4 that you'd like to highlight, and maybe tell us a little bit about them if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, I can highlight all of them because one of the things with Duck Camp Dinners, we really commit to if you're going to be a sponsor, you're going to be a sponsor in the whole season, not
Hmm.
just one episode. We want you there for the whole thing. We want you around. I don't want to be like talk. I don't want to have five different shell, or like two different shell sponsors. I want one that believes in the show and that is going to be invested in the show so we can invest back into them. So that's Boss Shot Shells right off the bat. I mean, they for 2 years they have been a huge sponsor. Like honestly, literally, I mean this and wholeheartedly could not have made seasons 3 and 4 without them. Right? They were just that huge from a financial point of view, from a just paying for the show, just flat out getting it done. People don't understand how expensive one show's over. This show specifically, and I don't need to go into details of why, but it looks and feels different from every other show for a reason. You
Hmm.
know, um, so Boss Shot Shell is one of those people, one of those brands, Dirk Sorrells, specifically, who's believed in the show throughout the last few years. Browning Shotguns came on us. We've never had a shotgun sponsorship in any season, and you know, I've shot groundings all my life, not exclusively,
Right.
but all my friends did. So I was super familiar with the gun and knew they were reliable, and I've seen them shoot them for years and years and decades and be collectors of them and so on. And so, Browning Firearms, of course, is an American, as an American company, has been around, forever. So I was grateful to partner with them because, again, it's not everybody comes along so fast to the idea of the show that it's not just like a straight pure hunting show where you're going to show like these great hunts because that's historically hunting media just shows great hunts because that's what sells their sponsors, like nice buck on the ground or whatever. Like that's you get where I'm going at. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it takes a different mindset from some sponsors to look at duck camp dividends and be like, okay, I holistically love this story because I know it's just not. And although Browning, see, that's what so I think some people. Sorry, I just want to get on this just for a moment.
Hmm.
I think when some people think of Browning Firearms, they're like, oh, why would they invest money into this show? Half of it is cooking. Browning has nothing to do with cooking. My rebuttal to that is like, I couldn't disagree more because a lot of the things that we're cooking are things that we're shooting, catching, killing. Sometimes that's a whitetail or a hog with a Browning firearm or Browning ammunition. Why isn't that just as important to the dinner table or to this idea of food? And that's just a disconnection that not just the outside world of non-hunters have, but actually hunters, because they watch the show and be like, oh, why is well, Browning has a lot to do with the food on the table because this hog wouldn't have died without a Browning rifle in my hands.
Yeah. It's part of the
Right.
ingredients.
Part of the ingredients. Right. And that's, I think, what I've always tried to really, really harp on with any outdoor company is that y'all have done such a great job of telling the story until that hog hits the dirt. And then after that, yeah, but there's a whole other story of why your firearms are important that happens after the kill. And I could say the same with Shin gear, brand that I'm wearing right now. Big supporter over the last 2 years. Love those guys. Dylan Farrell, the marketing director at Shin, was my camera two for seasons 1 and 2 of Duck Camp Dinners. And so, he's known the show even before he was part of Shin. Before that, he was a part of it. He helped build this show because of his work behind the lens. And now he's building a brand like Shin, which I just came back from their film festival. And so like they're that's our camo guys, right? And so like there was going to be no other outdoor technical camo or anything that goes along with this, Slappy Mama, again, last 2 years have been a great partner with us, and we carried around. And no, it's not just like we cook a lot of Cajun food because that's what I do, wherever we're at, but it's also like sharing that seasoning, that flavor, that spice, they're from the 80s, man. That brand has been around since the 80s. Sharing that with other people that may not know so much about them. So they've been awesome. So you got Browning, you got Boss Shot Shells, you got Shin. Then there's ConocoPhillips and Ducks Unlimited, who work together in partnership in South Louisiana to rehabilitate broken marsh, saltwater marsh that needs to be, whether that be mangrove plantings or building land terraces to break up that saltwater surge that happens from hurricanes specifically. ConocoPhillips is one of the largest landowners in South Louisiana. They lease a whole thousands and millions of acres of duck property to Louisianians to give them access to that land. And ConocoPhillips does not drill or produce oil in Louisiana anymore. They are simply there for conservation in partnership with Ducks Unlimited. And to me, that was one of those, and they're in their backyard in Terrebonne Parish, right on Homa. And so one of those things that I was really proud to have a local person really, company invest in the show because, as you mentioned, conservation, like land conservation, habitat, is obviously really important to ducks. Wildlife, of course, but not just ducks, but Louisianans in this case. Lastly, the sponsor who this season would also not have been able to do, we wouldn't have been able to do it without is Cenac Towing and Coco Marina, who's also owned by the Cenac family. If anybody even just Googles Cenac in Louisiana, they're going to see just philanthropy, people giving back to the community. Had a Mr. Benny and his family, all the Cenacs just have their hands in a lot of like really just blue collar work in communities and have built their businesses, and they like individually love duck camp dinners. And when I came to them, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this season because we're kind of we're at this point actually making season 4 where I had to say at this date, if we don't have the funding that we need, then we just can't make it, and it like we're right at that date, and we end up talking to Mr. Benny and the Coco Marina folks, and they just really want to see the show continue. And so it's like, again, just some people, it's like these brands that you can kind of fold in because it makes sense. And then there's these folks like ConocoPhillips, DU, the Cenac family and Cenac Towing, Coco Marina, that was like, man, we just love the show and just love what you've been telling, the stories you've been telling about our people in Louisiana and now in Texas. Like, we want to see this continue. And so it's been great. And that's it. It's like, you can even put in enough money to help move the needle, but you got to believe in the show. Cause it's like, I can give you all the photos and videos, and I do. Like, I try to really provide in that way. But in the end, like, you have to be bought in, to the story and to the message of the show. And I feel like that's the kind of brands that can kind of sustain you over the periods of seasons,
Certainly, and they're there for the right reasons, right? It's not just it's people who are believing in that mission and they're coming around, and these are all great brands who have done some amazing things. I can speak to many of those myself. I was probably in the late '80s rocking the Slap Your Mama Man. I mean, that was something that was a staple in our cupboards at the ranch, and then that's something I've thoroughly seen. Boss shot shells continue, and I've used a lot of their ammo, and it is second to none. It's amazing, and they always have different things like cutting edge, innovations that they're making every single year. So, these are brands that I think people are going to be familiar with, and they're the ones who get behind it. I love that, man. It's a great synergy, and that's kind of folks you want along for the ride. Thinking of that, we got a new season as far as hunting season coming around. What do you have planned here this, and without maybe giving anything away of maybe a potential season 5, but what are some journeys you're going on in the near future? Is there anything that you're looking forward to this hunting season that's coming in?
Yeah, well, I'll get the elephant out of the room and say I'm not filming a season 5 this year. I have a almost a 4-year-old and a newly 1-year-old, and I'm building the YouTube channel, and I just felt like this was a good season to take off, spend more time at home, really take some intentional hunts that I've never could take because of filming, and also like really focusing on building that YouTube channel up. So when we do a season 5, which I fully intend on doing the next duck season after this one, that channel has a really, really robust platform to be on. That season has a really robust platform to be on, excuse me. And so I'll be taking it that, but right now, man, I'm focused on just tying up those loose ends on season 4. I'm taking my family to Italy on November 17th. We're staying through Thanksgiving, having an Italian Thanksgiving, and into early December. Nice. Throughout Rome and Tuscany. I'm working on a project in New Orleans with some investors on a restaurant. I won't run the day-to-day, but my name will surely be associated with. So that all has to do with some of the Italian stuff. I'm kind of, which reason why I'm going to Italy in the next couple of weeks. So like, I'm supposed to go on a wild boar hunt there in the olive groves of Tuscany, which, I mean, really, that's gonna be fun. They got some red stag and roebucks as well that I may target if I have the time to do it. But And as for the duck season, you know, I've left a lot of my December and January open just to be on call for when somebody says, "Hey, migration's really good right now. You got it in your calendar?" And then I'll see what's happening at home, and then maybe I'll go. So I've never been able to really do that,
Right.
especially in the last 5 years. Like just be on call, and like if my friends in Oklahoma say the widgeons are in the dry field, you got to get here tomorrow. I'm like, I am in. It was like widgeons in a dry field is one of my like kind of dream hunts. So there are those things, but really just honestly, George, excited to spend a little bit more time at home, maybe hunting around Florida with some friends, which
Mhm.
like where I can make, house hunts,
Right.
hunt from
Right.
home, if you will, than going to the camp for a few days. So trying to spend some more time with the family, making some more intentional hunts that I haven't been able to do, and then eat a whole bunch of pizza in Italy. That's, that's
I can't think of better plans. All of those accumulated, man. I'm excited for you, and that's great. And like you said too, you got two young kids, man. This is a great time. These are those years you don't get back. I mean, you have a beautiful family, and it's always. I see how much they mean to you, and vice versa, and that's a wonderful thing, man. So I know that you're creating that balance, and it is a lot of work for those who hadn't really thought about all the planning, all the trips, all the editing, all the things that go into each one of these seasons. And that's why I think it's, paramount that everyone go and check it out. Make sure you're subscribing to Stir the Pot YouTube page and seeing all these. And of course, you're going to be doing all sorts of different things throughout this next year of building more of a foundation for that platform, and all sorts of great videos. So I can't wait to see those, and
yeah,
especially I can't wait to hear more about the Italy trip. I'm
yeah.
That is going to be phenomenal, man.
Yeah, filming is funny, man. YouTube is even funnier when you think about it. Like duck camp dinners takes a year to make.
Yep.
It takes about 4 or 5 months of discovery, research, fundraising. It takes about 20 days to make 8 episodes, 15 to 20 days, depending on how you cut it up, to make 8 episodes. Then it's in edit for 6 to 8 months, about a month an episode. Like it's a huge undertaking. Like people at different sections of the year, it's a full-time job, right? Like from fundraising to discovery to action is a full-time for me. Then I get into production, which is like double time, triple time. And then editing, like I'm writing voiceover and stuff like that. And it's another group's full-time job. Huge. Where sometimes I can make a video that takes an hour to make about cheeseburgers in my garage, and it like triples the amount of views that anything on Duck Camp Dinners gets, which is like I'm like, all right, I guess that's cool, whatever. So it's a thing, man. It's certainly one of those shows where I tell people all the time, even about being a chef and cooking. I was like, you better love to cook, you better love feeding people, because don't get into it because of the money. You gotta love that other side of it, because the money ain't gonna take you through. Dude, that stuff came down. It's like you gotta love making the show. You gotta love telling the stories. You gotta love being with other people and new people, because it's not nobody getting rich off of duck camp dinners, but it sure is a good ride. You know.
Well, it is amazing, man. It's phenomenal content. I love every single year when a new season gets announced, and just the anticipation of where you're going to go, what you're going to highlight, who are you going to see, is Fluff Dog going to make an appearance, all the important things that people are looking for, man. And it just really celebrating the culture, the cuisine, the friendships, the camaraderie, and the conservational mindset. I mean, all in all, Jean-Paul, I'm a big fan of all the things you're doing. Love being, a part of this and having you on here to talk about it. And with that in mind, as we're wrapping up, before we give like kind of the socials and where people can, kind of remind them of where they can follow you and everything else, I wondered if you had anything that you'd like to share to those, friends, family, supporters, viewers, all the people who have been behind this, sponsors, partners. As we kind of close out, what was it that you maybe as you're leaving, as these episodes are kind of coming out and you're getting feedback, what is it you'd like to share? Maybe words of thanks that you might have for all those people.
It's really obviously the sponsors, the family, the friends, my family at home that say like, yes, go do this thing that you love, leave this house, leave us. talk to us for 30 minutes a day, go do it. Like they obviously owe them everything for giving me that free, it's not like freedom, like they want me, but like a free mind, a free heart to
Yeah.
chase that without any guilt, right? Like, um, obviously my wife that has been a unbelievable supporter of the show. All the sponsors that I mentioned, past and present, unbelievable supporters, but really like the people that watch for 3 seasons in Louisiana seasons, the overwhelming response of Louisianians that say, thank you for making a show about us and for us and not, making us look like, this is some sort of circus, like as many people have, right? Let's just say it, current and past have. It was super important for me to get Louisianians on board with this show because it meant that I was telling the authentic, real, true stories that people could be proud of. And the same thing for Texas. My hope is that Texans can say, this show is about us and for us, and something that accurately portrays who we are and the kind of people who we are. And I've gotten that same response. And so just like thank you to the viewers who let me know that, because it is the North Star of the show. It's the North Star is to whether we are going to Louisiana or Texas or to whoever else to represent those people authentically, to represent their stories and their culture and their community authentically, and for them to be proud that we came and shined a light on their little town or their restaurant or their meat market or their place that they hunt or their camp or whatever. And that's been more than any other gift that Duck Camp Dinners has given me. It's been given that gift to others to have something that they see themselves in. And I think you see that even with people that aren't from Texas, Louisiana, and people in rural Minnesota, Wyoming, California, Nebraska, all up and down the East Coast that say, I've never been to Louisiana. I don't know anything about Cajun food, but I feel like I know you and your friends, right? It's the same friends, just different last names and different food and different accents. And be able to represent all those people in and out of those, in and out of in the ends and the crevices and the corners of different, off the outskirts of the cities and so on, the little towns that you never heard of, the public land, the private land, all that stuff that people see us in or so on. It's just an honor, to represent Louisiana, Texas, and all those outdoorsmen that say that's how our camp is. We don't know that food and we don't know that species of duck, but that's how our camp is, So, and I say this to everybody. Like I was at the film festival this weekend. I love it. People come up. We love your show. We watch it every night. Me and my son at 7:00 on Saturdays, we're tuning in. Just he and I. He's 10 years old. He loves the show, and it's one of those shows. And like, man, my heart melts thinking about that. But I have to say, like, I always have to tell me, thank you for the view. Thank you for the view, for the comment, for the thumbs up. People don't realize how much that matters just for the algorithm's sake, right? It's not a pride sake. It's not like, oh yeah, pat on myself on the back. It's like, obviously you want this show to get to as many people as possible, for your sponsors, for your community, for the people that you're trying to make proud. And what helps? The comment, the likes, the subscribes, the notifications, all that stuff, especially on YouTube, help in that effort. So thank y'all for, honestly, everybody who's listening right now, thank y'all for the view. If you're new to this and you're going to watch Duck Camp Dinners any season, thank you for that view. It really does help me more than anything. And it allows the show to get out to more people and more communities, and to tell those people who don't know anything about us something about us, something real. So that's important to me, and I hope it is to everyone else.
Well said, man. And those all accumulate to be able to have more content like this coming forth. So if you like it, you support it, show your support, and then you're going to get more of those things that you love and learning about new things that you will come to love. So I think that's very important. For those who are looking to tune in, if they haven't before, or if they have, I'd love for you to give kind of the socials, websites, how they can follow you, Duck Camp Dinners and Stir the Pot. Why don't you go ahead and lay those out where people can join the movement there?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have like an easy name like Tom Smith, and so I'm going to spell a bunch of stuff out. My website, you can catch, just basic things about me, links to the shows at jeanpaulbourgeois.com, JeanPaulbourgeois.com. That's my website. Then Instagram, I'm fairly active on. I love answering people's questions on Instagram when and if I can. Like sometimes, sometimes I can't, sometimes I can't for other reasons, but hit me up at Chef Jean, Jean underscore Paul. And then lastly, a little bit easier to spell, Stir the Pot YouTube channel on YouTube. Just type that into the search bar, Stir the Pot. You'll see it. It's growing. We love it. And I'm putting a whole bunch of different content out there. I just went interview a Nigerian lady on Facebook Marketplace in Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the things I'm really excited about, as you know, I mean, everything I do is revolving around food, is finding food on Facebook Marketplace in the different cities I go, especially when that food doesn't feel like it really fits this place. And so I've done Filipino food here in Pensacola. I've now Nigerian food in Memphis. We're going to go every place that I travel and try to find this Facebook Marketplace food and try to meet the people who are cooking it. I think it's super interesting. So and my point is like, bunch of different content like that to I'm learning how you're learning. My point is like I constantly want to learn. I constantly want to be around people that can cook just as good, if not better than me. And this Nigerian woman was one of them, right? And Christina was her name. And so anyways, check it out. If you like duck ham dinners, you can go to Stir the Pot. Plus there's all kind of other content on that YouTube channel. But I'll say Outdoor America, Waypoint TV, outdoor channel, streaming, linear broadcast, and through video on demand. It'll be on all those different platforms. So if you don't want to watch on your computer or your phone on YouTube, Duck Camp Dinners season 3 and 4 is coming to many, if not already, on those channels. So just go into your smart TV and search Duck Camp Dinners, and you'll find it.
Excellent. And I will have all the links below, especially for those who might not be the best spellers. They are here. And I know you got Duck Camp Dinners on Instagram as well too. So there's another one that I'll add on there. Make sure you guys go give it a follow, a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. This is amazing content from you and your team. And I think there's something for everyone there. Once again, Jean-Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a true honor and looking forward to having you back in the near future, man.
All right, George. Appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Take care, brother.